Yes, beta. We were doing which kingdom?
Monera.
Monera.
Monera. Yes. We had talked about the main categories. Let's talk about it very quickly. I first talked about archaebacteria and
Eubacteria.
archaebacteria and eubacteria.
Eubacteria.
Then
Eubacteria.
we very good. Two more types of bacteria. Tell me quickly.
Cyanobacteria.
Yes, cyanobacteria. And the fourth one was? Hmm, forgot. One day the class was not there. Cyanobacteria, eubacteria, archaebacteria. The last one was
Mycoplasma.
what? Hmm?
Mycoplasma or PPLO.
Yes, mycoplasma or PPLO. So we had done about these four things. Then I told you the difference between diplo, strepto, and staphylo. Cephalotrichus, lophotrichus, and peritrichus, where we had classified bacteria into what? Into different categories on the basis of what? On the basis of what?
Flagella.
Flagella. Very good, very good, very good. बहुत ही अच्छे. So on the basis of flagella, how many categories we had?
2.
Please.
Very good.
2.
Those which do not have. Okay, that is what we had done. How many types subcategories we had?
5.
5. Chalo, let's count and we'll see. How many are there? Let's count very quickly. You remember first was monotrichus, second was
Amphitrachus.
amphitrachus, good. Third was
Trichus.
Cephalotrichus. Cephalotrichus.
trichus, good. Trichus. And the last is
Peritrichus.
peritrichus. So just a quick revision of what we were doing. Yes. Then we also discussed the structure of flagella. I said basically the body has three parts. Let me see. How many of you remember what were the three parts?
Basal body hook or filament.
Basal body,
body
hook,
hook
and
and
filament.
Very good. Excellent.
Basal
And the
body,
last
hook, and
topic I
filament.
think which we left was gram positive and gram negative bacteria. And we had done the main differences. Two main differences of teichoic acid. And the second was what?
Additional layer. The negative one
Yes.
has additional layer.
Yes. Additional one layer present in the gram negative. Now we're going to talk about respiration in bacteria. Beta, when we started this chapter, we said we still follow which classification? 6 kingdoms or 5 kingdom?
5.
5 kingdom.
5.
5 kingdom. Monera, continue. Give me the name of the next 4.
Monera, Protista,
Monera,
Plantae, Animalia, and
Protista,
Fungi.
fungi, plant.
We have already discussed in details when we were doing the chapters. So mainly we need to go into details about these 3 kingdoms. That is Monera. Which are the other 2?
Protista,
Protista
and
and
fungi.
fungi.
And Fungi.
So today I'll be completing Monera with you. Everything left from bacteria, and then we'll move on to the next kingdom from Monday. Now Monday onwards, we do not have any pre-board exams. All exams are over today. So we'll have normal routine classes. All subjects, all classes would be proper routine classes. So there would respiration in bacteria, beta. Respiration in bacteria is of both the kinds, aerobic and anaerobic also. Now understand the difference between two words, obligate and facultative. Okay, understand this. This word can be used anywhere, not only in bacteria. It can be used anywhere. You just need to know the meaning of these words. Obligate, facultative. Obligate is if something is a must. We call it as obligate. Normally we say, no, this is obligatory. Means it is compulsory. Facultative. This is just to facilitate, something like that. Additional benefit is facultative. So remember these two words. Wherever they are used, obligate always means what?
This is must always.
Must.
Must or compulsory. In facultative is additional benefit. Agar kisi ko mil raha hai, then this is a facultative arrangement. So let us talk further. If you know about these two words, respiration in bacteria is both aerobic and anaerobic. When I say obligated, then it's oxygen is a must. We have some facultative aerobes. Facultative aerobes means normally they are anaerobic. But if the conditions are aerobic, that means if oxygen is present, then also they can survive. So we have two kind of aerobes, obligate aerobes and facultative aerobes. Obligate aerobes matlab oxygen is a must. They will not be able to survive if there is no oxygen. The other kind of bacteria are known as facultative aerobes. Normally they will live in anaerobic conditions, but ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर oxygen present है, then they will die. They can also survive in oxygen. So these are facultative aerobes. So how many kind of bacteria, aerobe bacteria we have?
2.
Two.
2.
What are the kind of aerobic bacteria?
Obligate and facultative.
Obligate and facultative.
Yes. So those bacteria for which or for whom oxygen is mandatory, essential, they cannot survive. What are these called?
Obligate aerobes.
Obligate aerobe.
Obligate aerobes. And those which normally live in anaerobic conditions, but they can also survive if oxygen is present. What are they called?
Facultative aerobe.
aerobes.
Facultative aerobes.
So if you have understood this, you will very simply understand the next two terms. See beta, my next two terms are obligate anaerobes and facultative anaerobes. Chali, let us guess. What are obligate anaerobes? Guess. What
Which are strictly aerobic and oxygen is must for them.
anaerobic? No, obligate anaerobes. We are talking about obligate anaerobes now.
Ma'am,
Guess
which
what
are
are
strictly anaerobic, they don't need
exactly? They
oxygen.
will not be able to survive if oxygen is present. They are obligatory anaerobes, means compulsorily must that they have to be anaerobic conditions only. So they are known as anaerobic. What are they? Obligate anaerobes. And can you guess what are facultative anaerobes?
Which can survive in both in the presence of oxygen or
Yes. So
absence.
basically they are anaerobes, beta, but they can also survive if oxygen is present. What are these category of anaerobes known as? Facultative anaerobes. So when I talk about respiration in bacteria, I have four kinds of bacteria. First are, when I talk about the broad categories, it is simply what aerobic and anaerobic. But if I go to subcategory of aerobes, I have got two subcategories of aerobes. What are they? Very quickly, obligate aerobes
Obligate.
And facultative.
Facultative aerobe.
and if we talk about the anaerobe ones, again we have two kinds of anaerobes. One is obligate anaerobe and the second is
Facultative aerobe.
facultative anaerobe. So clear? All the four terms are clear to everybody? In bacteria, respiration is both kinds, aerobic also, anaerobic also. We have already got the four terms. Now come to this. Should I move on to nutrition in bacteria?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody okay? Everybody is okay with respiration? So when I say classify bacteria on the basis of the mode of respiration, so there will be two major categories, aerobic, anaerobic. In aerobic, again you will have two subcategories, obligate anaerobes, sorry, aerobes and facultative aerobes. When we will go the other side for anaerobic, we will again say we have two categories, obligate anaerobes and facultative anaerobes. Now we'll move on to nutrition in bacteria. Very interesting. Again, there are two categories of bacteria, those which can synthesize their own food and those which cannot synthesize their own food. Normally, you call them as autotrophs and heterotrophs. See, like green plants, they are autotrophs because they can prepare their food with the help of what things, beta?
Sunlight, CO2.
Sunlight and which is the other thing which is needed?
Chlorophyll.
CO2.
Chlorophyll. Sunlight, carbon dioxide, of course, and we have chlorophyll pigment. So bacteria is also, I mean, not only bacteria, all those autotrophs which use sunlight, they are called photoautotrophs. Plants are just an example. So those which can prepare their own food with the help of sunlight, those autotrophs are called what?
Photoautotrophs.
Photoautotrophs. They have some special pigments which can absorb sunlight. However, there is another category of autotrophs. They do not require sunlight. But of course, they can prepare their food with the help of certain chemicals, energy of some chemicals. They are known as chemoautotrophs. So autotrophs are again of two categories, photoautotrophs and chemoautotrophs. Those which use sunlight, And how they use sunlight? Because they have some pigment which can absorb sunlight. They are known as what? They are known as photoautotrophs. There are some other categories which do not need sunlight. They use the energy of chemicals to prepare their own food. Such kind of autotrophs are called, tell me the name.
Chemoautotrophs.
Chemoautotrophs.
Chemoautotrophs. Okay, beta. So autotrophs are again of two types. Very quickly, tell me the names of the two categories of autotrophs.
Photoautotrophs and
Photoautotrophs and
chemoautotrophs.
chemo.
Photoautotroph and chemoautotroph.
Green plants, I would put in which category? Photoautotrophs or chemoautotrophs?
Photo.
Photoautotrophs.
Photoautotrophs.
Very good. Now, if you have understood this, let us understand about bacteria now. See, bacteria also have a pigment. Like green plants have chlorophyll. They also have pigment. Mainly, they have two pigments. I'm just talking about one. That is bacteriochlorophyll. It's a little different from the normal chlorophyll in plants. What is this called as? This is called as bacteriochlorophyll. Okay, it's a little different from what chlorophyll we have in plants. This is known as bacteriochlorophyll. Now see the equation. Let me explain the difference in photosynthesis in plants and this
Excuse me,
photosynthesis which is
ma'am.
going to take place in, yes beta.
Ma'am, can you please scroll to the classification of autotrophs? I haven't
uh,
seen that properly.
okay, no issues. I'll explain it once again to you beta. See here, this is it. I'll explain again. See, two main modes of nutrition, autotrophs and heterotrophs. This we know. Autotrophs are again of two types. Those which use sunlight. And why they can use sunlight? Because they have a specific pigment in them which can absorb sunlight. Such kind of autotrophs are known as photoautotrophs. I'll be giving one example and explaining to you later, just now only. Second category is chemoautotrophs. They do not use the energy of sunlight beta. They use the energy of some other chemical, and with that energy they can prepare their food. Such kind of autotrophs are called chemoautotrophs. Chemo word comes from the word chemical. So can we have very quickly two main categories of autotrophs? Which is the first one?
Photoautotroph and chemoautotroph.
Photoautotrophs and
Yes.
chemoautotrophs.
Now let me explain them. Huh? 1 minute. I'll explain. See, this is normal photosynthesis in plants which you must have studied. Carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of sunlight, chlorophyll, you're getting your glucose. And what is being released, beta? What is the main thing which is released? What is the byproduct?
Oxygen.
Oxidation.
Can anybody tell me where did this oxygen come from? We know that everything in product comes from reactants. तो ये कहाँ से आया होगा बेटा ऑक्सीजन? यहाँ से कि यहाँ से कहाँ से आया होगा?
CO2.
मैम
Hmm?
CO2 से.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Everybody is very confident. It comes from CO2.
Yes,
Hmm?
ma'am.
Class 10th, you have done photosynthesis steps, no? What happens first? Oh, very bad. Forgot? Chalo, I'll be asking tomorrow. I want you to tell me sequence 5 steps of photosynthesis in plants tomorrow. This is not done, children. Anyways, if I'll go for that, it will going to take a lot of time. Please, everybody check out today and tell me tomorrow. ये oxygen कहाँ से आता है बेटा photosynthesis में? That's why I say don't learn things. ये oxygen यहाँ से आएगा या यहाँ से आएगा? That is all you need to tell me. Now, this is what happens in bacteria. Such kind of a process is known as oxygenic process. Such kind of photosynthesis is known as which photosynthesis? Oxygenic, because the byproduct is oxygen. If you can see very clearly over here, your byproduct is what? Byproduct is oxygen. That is why such kind of a photosynthesis is called oxygenic photosynthesis. Clear? चलिए अब bacteria में चलते हैं. See the difference? CO2 is same. Here water is not there. Okay, what is not there over here is water is not there, beta. In place of water, we have H2S. Okay, clear everybody? We do not have water. What is present over here is H2S. Over here, hydrogen donor was water. But over here, the hydrogen donor is not water, it is H2S. बाकी conditions बिल्कुल same रहेंगी. We have sunlight, we have bacteriochlorophyll, we get glucose and we get sulfur as a byproduct. So what is the byproduct? Oxygen is not a byproduct. Rather, what is the byproduct? It is sulfur. Such kind of photosynthesis is known as anoxygenic photosynthesis. This was oxygenic because the byproduct was oxygen. Here the byproduct is not oxygen, it is sulfur. So such kind of a photosynthesis is also known as anoxygenic photosynthesis, or simply you can call it as anoxygenic process. Abhi to I'm just telling you about how bacteria photosynthesize. We are talking about photosynthetic bacteria. Okay? We are talking about which kind of bacteria? Chemosynthetic or photosynthetic?
Photosynthetic bacteria.
Photosynthetic.
Yes, but thoda sa, even our green plants are photosynthetic only. But there is a difference between photosynthesis in plants and the nutrition, the way glucose is being prepared in bacteria. Just try to explain that to you by very short equations. दोनों के दोनों बेटा photo autotrophic है. Green plants are also photo autotrophic. They also absorb sunlight because they have chlorophyll. Bacteria are also photoautotrophic, some of them. They can also absorb sunlight क्योंकि उनके अंदर भी एक special kind of chlorophyll है. Even verdin is present, वो भी help करता है. But main it is bacteriochlorophyll. So conditions are exactly the same. Sunlight would be there, pigment would be there. The only difference is in place of water. What is there, beta?
H2S.
See on the screen.
H2S.
Yes, H2S. What is H2S? What is the name?
Hydrogen sulfide.
Yes,
Hydrogen sulfate.
sulfide, not sulfate. Sulfate
Sulfide.
is always SO4. Okay. So this is sulfide, hydrogen sulfide. There we have water. Here we have hydrogen sulfide. What was the byproduct in case of plants?
Oxygen.
Oxygen.
And what is the byproduct in case of bacteria?
Sulfur.
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 Sulfur. The first one where oxygen byproduct hota hai, such kind of photosynthesis or such kind of a process is known as what process?
Oxygenic process.
Oxygenic process.
Yes, and we have photosynthesis where oxygen is not the byproduct. We call it as anoxygenic process. So wherever you come across these words, simple से आप समझ जाइए. Oxygenic process, if it is written that this is an oxygenic process, that means the byproduct is oxygen. But if it is anoxygenic, then byproduct is something else, but not oxygen. Such kind of processes are known as anoxygenic processes. So everybody is clear about how photosynthetic bacteria prepare their food. Should I move on to chemosynthetic bacteria or chemoautotrophs?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
बेटा देखो हम लोग क्या पढ़ रहे हैं हम लोग न्यूट्रिशन पढ़ रहे हैं बैक्टीरिया में when I started I told you we have both the kind of bacteria. We'll have autotrophs also, we'll have heterotrophs also. In autotrophs, again we have two kinds of autotrophs. We have already done the first one, those are photoautotroph. We have studied kaise banta hai. Now I'll explain the other kind of autotrophs in bacteria, which are chemoautotrophs. See, nitrifying bacteria. The best way to understand chemoautotrophs is nitrifying bacteria. Okay, what do? They convert the ammonia first to nitrites and then into nitrates. And जब ये प्रोसेस चल रहा होता है when they convert ammonia पहले तो nitrites में and then nitrites को nitrates में. So during this process energy is released. So they do not need any solar energy for preparing their food. They do not need any solar energy. They have taken their energy from a chemical. Main input chemical ammonia था. अमोनिया से पहले नाइट्राइट्स बनेंगे, नाइट्राइट से फिर नाइट्रेट्स बनेंगे, and ये जो conversion process है, in this energy would be released. And then they use this energy, not the solar energy, to prepare their food. Such kind of bacteria are called as chemoautotrophic bacteria. Example is nitrosomonas. I'm sure इसका नाम जरूर सुना होगा आपने. You've heard about nitrosomonas?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, I knew you must have heard. Nitrococcus is a little new one for you, but I am very sure you can guess about nitrococcus. Two things you can tell me about nitrococcus just by the name. चलिए
Its
बताइए.
shape
What
is
two
round.
things? Excellent. And it is which kind of an autotroph? Photosynthetic or chemosynthetic?
Chemosynthetic.
Ma'am, chemosynthetic.
The word nitro very clearly tells you it is using nitrogen chemical as its autotrophic mode. So the word nitrococcus, बहुत simple. It will tell you that we are talking about a spherical or a circular bacteria, which is chemosynthetic. So we are doing nutrition in amoeba. Nutrition in amoeba, nutrition in bacteria. Bacteria are both autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. Autotrophic, again of two types. Name the two types of autotrophic bacteria. Headings, just the headings.
Photosynthetic autotroph and chemosynthetic autotroph.
Acha. Now, one of you tell me the difference in photosynthesis in plants. Dekho beta, plants are also photoautotrophs and bacteria are also photoautotrophs. I hope both of you, all of you agree to both these statements. Hmm?
Yes, ma'am.
Plants
Yes,
also
ma'am.
utilize the energy of the sun. Bacteria is also utilizing. So, where was the difference in both the photoautotrophs? One of you very quickly tell me.
Ma'am, in plants, water is used, whereas in bacteria, hydrogen sulfide is used.
Okay, very good. And what is the byproduct in case of plants?
Oxygen.
Oxygen, and in
Oxygen.
bacteria,
That
it
is
is
why
sulfur.
good, good. That is why this process is known as
An
hmm,
oxygenic
Oxygenic
process.
process.
oxygenic. And if oxygen is not the byproduct, some other thing is the byproduct, then we call them as
An
Anoxidation.
oxygenic process.
good. So we are done with photoautotrophs. Now we have understood chemoautotrophs. They do not need solar energy. They simply use the energy of some other chemical or some other compound. The best examples are nitrifying bacteria. They will convert the ammonia first to nitrites, then to nitrates, and then some energy would be released in this process. So this is all about autotrophic bacteria. Let's move on to heterotrophic bacteria now. Heterotrophs तो बहुत simple है. The first category is saprophytes. You know about them. They feed on dead and decaying matter. Just remember the name Clostridium. One example of each we have taken. So what is the example of a saprophyte bacteria?
Clostridium.
Yes, it is
Clostridium.
Clostridium.
Clostridium. Then there is another one, another category which has symbiotic mode. बहुत बचपन से पढ़ते आ रहे हैं आप. Rhizobium and leguminous plants. Have you heard about them?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
And the
ma'am.
third, very good. Third and the last mode of heterotroph is parasitic mode. Bacteria which live in the host body, even in human body. I've taken the example, simplest example, Vibrio cholerae, even in the human body. So human body becomes the host. If this bacteria enters your body, which normally causes a disease, Vibrio cholerae. So very quickly, let us revise the heterotrophic mode of nutrition in bacteria. We have three main modes of heterotrophic nutrition. Which is the first one? Just now we did. Which is the first mode of heterotrophic nutrition?
Saprophytic.
Saprophytes.
Saprophytes. Very good. They feed on which kind
Saprophytic.
of matter? They feed on which kind of matter?
Dead and
Dead.
decaying
Dead and
matter.
decaying matter.
Give me an example.
Clostridium.
Clostridium.
Yes, it's Clostridium. Second category of heterotrophs was
Symbiotic mode.
Symbiotic.
Symbiotic.
the best and the simplest example you've been doing for years now. Which one?
Rhizobium.
Rhizobium
Rhizobium.
with
Rhizobium.
legume.
Rhizobium.
Rhizobium with symbiotic association with which plants?
Leguminous plants.
Leguminous.
Leguminous plants.
You already know about this. I've not gone into details that why is it symbiotic, what is the plant doing, what is rhizobium doing. So let's not go to that. And the third category is
Parasitic
Parasite.
mode.
Parasite.
okay. The example is
Vibrio.
Vibrio.
Vibrio cholerae. Okay. And what is the host in this case?
Human body.
Human body.
See, before I move on to reproduction in bacteria, children, everybody, please, I need you to respond to what I'm saying. When I started with respiration in bacteria, I said there are two main modes of respiration in bacteria. See, today we have only three topics to be done. First was respiration, second is nutrition, and the third one is reproduction. So, first one and second one are already done very quickly. First one, I did respiration in bacteria. What are the two modes, main modes of respiration in bacteria? Name them.
Aerobic and anaerobic.
Aerobic and anaerobic.
बेटा
Aerobic
बाकी
and
लोगों को
anaerobic.
समझ में नहीं आ रहा है क्या? Why don't you all speak? मुझे ऐसे लगता है only 3-4 children understand, others don't understand. Either tell me if you're not able to understand, then tell me. I'll change the mode. You want me to go slow? You want me to tell more in Hindi? जो भी है बताइए. Otherwise, speak out the answers. When I say aerobic bacteria are again subdivided into two categories. Name them.
Obligate anaerobes and facultative aerobes.
Those which can survive only and only in the presence of oxygen. These kind of aerobes are known as
Obligate aerobes.
Obligate.
Obligative.
normally they survive in oxygen conditions, but they can also survive when the conditions are anaerobic. What are these aerobes called as?
Facultative aerobes.
Facultative.
Very good. So similarly, you have two kinds of anaerobes also. Just give me the name.
Obligate anaerobe
Or-
and
Obligate and facultative.
Obligate anaerobes and
Obligate
facultative
and
anaerobes.
facultative anaerobes.
Now we move on to the second heading that we did nutrition. Nutrition in bacteria is of both the types. See, it is so amazing and surprising कि सबसे छोटा living thing we are talking about bacteria and सब कुछ है उसमें. If we talk about respiration, तो aerobic भी है, anaerobic भी है. Not only aerobic, both obligate and facultative मिलेगा. Nutrition also you see, both autotrophic, heterotrophic. Auto में भी both the modes मिलेंगे, hetero में भी सारे modes मिलेंगे. So if we say functionally, it is a very complicated kind of a structure. Simple, देखने में we call it, it's very simple. But बेटा आप देखो तो it is functionally very complex also. Move on to nutrition now. What are the two major categories? Autotrophs and
Heterotrophs.
what?
Heterotrophs.
What are the main categories of autotrophs?
Photoautotrophs and chemoautotrophs.
Okay. Now, what is the main difference in photoautotropism in plants and photoautotropism in bacteria? What was the byproduct in case of plants?
Oxygen.
In plants, oxygen is produced.
Oxygen.
And what were the two reactants in case of photosynthesis in plants? CO2 plus
Water.
Water.
H2.
Water.
and what did we have in place of water in bacteria?
Hydrogen
Hydrogen
sulfide.
Hydrogen. Hydrogen
So
sulfide.
there we had the byproduct as oxygen. Here we have the byproduct as
Sulfur.
Sulfur.
sulfur. Which was the second category of autotroph?
Chemoautotrophs.
Chemoautotrophs.
Yes, in which ammonia is taken. Ammonia is first broken down or decomposed into
Nitrites.
Nitrites.
good and
Nitrites.
nitrites into
Nitrates.
Nitrates.
This energy is used by the organism bacteria. So does it need solar energy?
No.
No, ma'am.
No.
That is why these bacteria are known as
Chemoautotrophs.
Chemoautotrophs.
yes. So we are done with autotrophic mode of nutrition. Let's move on to the heterotrophic, which was the first subcategory of heterotrophic nutrition.
Saprophytic mode.
Saprophytes.
What example?
Rhizobium.
Clostridium.
Good. Second
Clostridium.
category, beta. Second one.
Symbiotic mode.
Symbiotic mode.
Very common example. Rhizobium one. Move on to the last mode. What was the last
Right.
mode?
Parasitic mode.
Parasitic
And
mode.
what was the example? Example.
Vibrio cholerae.
Vibrio cholera.
Vibrio
Cholerae.
What is the host in case of this?
Human
Human
body.
Human body.
Now I'm confident that you're okay with respiration, nutrition. Now I move on to reproduction. Like we had all options open and available for bacteria, whether it is respiration or it is nutrition. Similarly, in reproduction also, you have both the options, sexual and asexual. Asexual is also sometimes called as vegetative because this is a very simple mode of reproduction. We know about asexual reproduction. One cell is involved, no gamete formation takes place. The simplest kind of asexual reproduction observed in bacteria is binary fission. 100% sure everybody knows what is binary fission. This is one cell, one organism dividing and forming how many beta?
2.
2.
Now try and understand a little about binary fission in amoeba. See, this is supposing your amoeba. We know that there is no nucleus in amoeba. I hope everybody knows there is no nuclear membrane in amoeba, no?
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
I'm talking about
Yes.
amoeba. I don't know why again and again. It's bacteria. So this is your simple bacteria, sorry. Now, over here, see this. This is your mesosome. What is this? This is your mesosome. What is mesosome? Anyone remembers? Anything about mesosome?
They are the extensions of the plasma membrane.
Excellent. Extensions of the plasma membrane. Now, beta, what happens is that the genetic material is attached to these mesosomes. Okay, we know that genetic material normally nucleus के अंदर होता है. We have a proper nuclear membrane, but when we talk about bacteria, we do not have a proper nuclear membrane. So what happens? Genetic material कहीं पे तो होगा. So what happens to the genetic material? Hmm? Tell me what happens to the genetic material. वो इससे attached रहता है somewhere here in the mesosome. Now this, it starts replicating attached to the mesosome only. When the replication of DNA starts, then it's still attached to what? Mesosome. देखो first figure देख के समझने की कोशिश करो. First I'll just show you the pic. फिर explain बाद में करते हैं. I'll just give you 1 minute. आपको खुद काफी समझ में आ जाएगा. Please see this. Okay? I'll explain after a second. Did you understand a bit? Hmm?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Never mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see this. See, this is your bacteria. We don't have a proper nucleus. So this is your genetic material, the DNA, circular DNA. ये जो गोल गोल है बेटा, this is circular DNA. Okay? Don't get confused that what is this. This is your circular DNA. Normally in bacteria, we have simplest DNA which is circular. तो ये आपका circular DNA है बेटा. ये जो गोल वाला है. This is attached to the mesosome. Now DNA replicates attached to the mesosome only. यहीं पे attached है अभी mesosome से, and it is going to replicate now. See over here. After replication, we have got two circular DNAs. ये mesosomes हो गए, and these are two circular DNAs. Clear? Then cytokinesis will take place. You know what is cytokinesis? What is cytokinesis?
Division of cytoplasm.
Cytoplasm. Excellent. So here your cytokinesis took place. So this is one bacteria, this is the other bacteria, daughter bacteria. Each of them has its own circular DNA, genetic material. So if you see, the replication of genetic material is taking place in binary fission. This is how binary fission takes place in bacteria. Let's discuss this once again. Does it have a proper nuclear material, beta? Tell me.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
अगर होता, if there was a proper nuclear material, then the nuclear material would have been where? Inside where? Inside the nucleus. Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but here we do not have a proper nucleus. So this DNA, which is a circular DNA, it is attached to the mesosomes. Attach में ही ये replicate करना start करेगा, duplicate करेगा. That means two copies would be made. And after it replicates, देखो ये. Now we have how many circular DNAs? Two circular DNAs. Genetic material is replicated, cytokinesis will take place, and you will get two daughter cells. If all conditions are suitable, E. coli divides after every 20 minutes. Okay? After every, how many minutes will E. coli divide?
20.
20 minutes.
So we had one E. coli. After 20 minutes, we'll have how many E. coli?
2.
Okay. And after 40 minutes?
4.
That's it. So simple. It is dividing every 20 minutes. And पता है बेटा, in these 20 minutes, 18 minutes तो इसमें लग जाते हैं. Replication of genetic material. Cytokinesis सिर्फ 2 मिनट में हो जाता है. ये जो division है आपका, cytokinesis, this takes place only in 2 minutes. Out of these 20 minutes, 18 minutes इसमें लग जाते हैं. ये जो आपका replication of circular DNA हो रहा है, this takes around 18 minutes. Cytokinesis takes only 2 minutes. If everything remains fine, everything is perfect, then normally which mode of reproduction is done by bacteria? It is binary fission. Okay, beta? Remember this. This is binary fission. Binary fission mein how many daughter cells will be formed?
2.
Yes. So if conditions are favorable, then binary fission होगा directly. Bacteria will directly go for binary fission. ये याद रखना है सबको. Bacteria will normally directly go for binary fission if conditions are favorable. But if conditions are not favorable, then they will not directly go for binary fission. Endospore formation will take place. Endospore formation basically to withstand adverse conditions. That means if conditions are not favorable, they are unfavorable, then bacteria directly binary fission के लिए नहीं जाएगा. पहले दूसरा step होगा, and that other step is what we call as endospore formation. Okay? When conditions will become suitable, endospore will break, bacteria will come out, and then it will start dividing by binary fission. मतलब बाद में जाके तो binary fission होगा, but directly नहीं होगा binary fission. So if conditions are suitable, directly binary fission. If conditions are unfavorable, then first endospore formation, and then उसके बाद you will have which process?
Binary fission.
So
Binary fission.
that is why we have put it in modes of reproduction. क्योंकि बाद में जाके तो for sure binary fission होगा. Please see this. This is your genetic material. This was your cytoplasm. Now a protective capsule is formed around this. This protective capsule, endospore formation is this, what I was explaining it to you. Many layered. This protective capsule has many layers. Okay. Now see, for whenever it conditions will become suitable. देखो ये एक बैक्टीरिया है तो एक ही एंडोस्पोर बना, एक ही बैक्टीरियम निकलेगा. So endospore formation is not a mode of reproduction. Don't get confused. एक बैक्टीरिया में एक ही एंडोस्पोर बना, कंडीशन फेवरेबल होके एंडोस्पोर ब्रेक कर जाएगा, बाहर भी जो निकलेगा वो एक ही बैक्टीरिया निकलेगा. कोई डिविजन नहीं है, कोई रिप्रोडक्शन नहीं हो रहा है यहाँ पे. But after this bacteria comes out, it will again go for what? It, because there is no reproduction in endospore formation, but because it survives and then reproduces by binary fission, we study it as a mode of reproduction. Which one? What is the second step? Endospore. What is this? Endospore formation. Name the heading, beta.
Endospore formation.
Endospore formation.
देखो ये आपका बैक्टीरिया में वी हैव अ प्रोटेक्टिव कैप्सूल. एक ही बैक्टीरिया था, कैप्सूल ब्रेक करके बाहर एक ही आएगा. सो एंडोस्पोर फॉर्मेशन इज नॉट इटसेल्फ अ मोड ऑफ रिप्रोडक्शन, बट what happens is after this bacteria comes out, now it is going to survive and reproduce by binary fission. Let's come to the third one. Most common binary fission. Unfavorable conditions में पहले एंडोस्पोर फॉर्मेशन, फिर बाइनरी फिशन. एंड सबसे रेयर, सबसे recent which is observed and which has come to records is budding process has been observed in bacteria. Clear, beta? Everybody is okay with asexual reproduction?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When we study asexual reproduction, we'll study under three headings. What are the first one? Which fission?
Binary fission.
Binary fission. If conditions are suitable, then normally what happens is, what kind of a genetic material, what kind of a DNA bacteria have?
Cellular.
Shape of DNA, I'm asking you.
Circular.
Circular. And it is attached to, because nucleus to hai nahi. So where is the DNA? It is attached to
Mesosome.
very
Mesosome.
good. So it replicates when it is attached to mesosome only. So one circular DNA से कितने circular DNA बन गए?
2.
2. And after we have 2 circular DNA, then which process takes place?
Cytokinesis.
Give you an
Cytokinesis.
example of E. coli, na? I give you an example of E. coli. E. coli binary fission, how many